Hi, I'm V. I'd like to talk with you about how to pronounce Evangelion. Not the meaning of the whole title, Neon Genesis Evangelion, because we know how to pronounce Neon and Genesis. I'm going to talk about that in another video. I mean the word Evangelion. Seems odd to me that after 13 years we still have all these alternate ways of pronouncing it, which I really think is a symptom of the problems the fandom's been having, that people feel they can just interpret it any way they want. Which too often means you're living in a world of fantasy where you're right all the time and it doesn't matter what other people think, which is a world of truthiness, where you're right all the time, no matter what the facts say. Because you see, Evangelion isn't a made-up science fiction word. It's a real word, and again, as with most things Eva, the answer was easily available in any given internet search. No effort was put into finding out how to pronounce it. It's an easy word to pronounce. I think it's silly that this problem has been going along, and as long as it has, and I have to make a video about this. But again, there's a lot of people who honestly just don't know, so I'm making it to finally put an end to this. Well, first off, why do they use this word? Anno directly stated in on-screen interviews that the reason they picked the word Evangelion and where it's from is it's a Christian word meaning gospel. It's supposed to bring good luck, and they used it because they thought it sounded cool. I've explained in other videos how the religious meaning in the show doesn't really mean anything, and the symbols are meaningless. They just put that in to distinguish themselves. That's subject for another video, but it doesn't mean anything. They're using the ancient Greek word for gospel. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is they go, oh, it looks like the word evangelist in English, so it must be pronounced with a soft G. There are two ways to pronounce G. Soft G as in gem, like jelly. Evangelion, that's not right. And then there's the hard G, Evangelion, which is correct. Now the thing is, both ancient Greek and Japanese use hard G. English is the one that was wacky and has a word similar to it. It derives from the gospel word, language changed. The root stem turned into evangelist, someone who says the good news of the gospel. But English is weird for shifting to soft G with that word. The original word and how it's pronounced in Japanese, there's no difference in that case, should be hard G, Evangelion. Saying it in other ways, like holding up a sign saying you never even tried to pronounce this correctly. So there's no argument there. It should be pronounced as a hard G, even in Japanese. Now, the other thing is, I've noticed three alternate ways to say the first syllable of the word. Either E, like the letter E of the alphabet, Evangelion, E as in elephant, so Evangelion, or Evangelion. Now, the thing is, some people said, well, the Japanese voice actors kind of slur the first syllable, and it sounds like one or two of these. Look, here's the thing. I'm going to link this here. There's this thing from a convention where Crispin Freeman, this voice actor, voices Alucard in Hellsing. It's an anime series you might not have seen. For those of you who haven't seen it, he plays this character named Alucard, and he's really Dracula, and it's Dracula spelled backwards as Alucard. But there was this big debate for years, because of the whole English thing, the slurring between the L's and the R's. People thought he was called Alucard, and some of the writing even said that. But people realize, in the story, they establish, it's Dracula spelled backwards. And the video I'm going to post here is Crispin Freeman is answering this fangirl who insists that it's spelled and pronounced Alucard. And he's trying to tell her, well, first off, the show is set in England, and they're ostensibly speaking English, but moreover, he tells her this story where even the anime licensors from Japan said, he told them, it's pronounced Alucard because it's Dracula backwards. And they said, yeah, we know, Dracula. They were even slurring the L in Dracula, and they knew that it was from Dracula. So he had to go to the mangaka, the guy who wrote the comic for Hellsing itself, and he got him to admit, sorry, I would have gotten to this earlier, I was just under a lot of work. Yes, my character's name is Alucard, it's Dracula spelled backwards. It's a direct loan word. And that was that. So the thing is, if an English word becomes a slang word in Japan, I can see how you could make the argument that if someone's saying it's like Yankee Ozu or some made-up Japanese street slang word that's changed in meaning from its original English word, you might have to retain that to gain that nuance. Or like how otaku means something slightly different from what it means in Japan now. If it meant something slightly different. But Evangelion, you don't see many street kids speaking city speak that uses Evangelion. It doesn't happen. It's Evangelion is a direct loan word from ancient Greek, and it's an uncommon word that they're trying to directly pronounce in Japanese. I actually think the Japanese voice actors say it pretty much close to how it should be pronounced, but you might be mishearing what they're saying or trying to say. Either way, it's a direct loan word from ancient Greek into Japanese of Evangelion. And it doesn't have a changed meaning. Now the other problem is, think about the word Evangelion. You know how they use a shortened form of just the first syllable? You know, if we're asking how do we pronounce that first syllable, they call them Evas for short, EVA. That's a bit of wordplay, and that the whole Evangelion word means gospel. The shortened version, you know, it's a play on that the Eva units are clones of Adam. Eve was made from the biblical Adam's flesh. Eve comes from Adam. Eva, spelled EVA, is how Eve's name is pronounced and spelled in most European languages. Adam and Eve, it's actually Adam and Eva in Spanish, in Italian, in German. Most European languages spell it EVA and pronounce it that way. Again, this was made for a Japanese audience, and they weren't thinking of it's just Japan and just English speakers. It's all the other language areas too, like German. So we, English speakers, are the weird ones who changed Evangelion to evangelist. We are the weird ones, the odd one out, who pronounces it Eve and spells it that way instead of Eva. The first syllable of the word is supposed to be pronounced exactly like the female name Ava. How would you pronounce the celebrity names Ava Green, Ava Longoria, Ava Mendes, Ava Braun, Ava Perón? It's the female name Ava, because it's an obvious wordplay for that, and most European languages are like that. Latin pronounces it Ava. Latin pronounces it that way. So really, the way to pronounce it is hard G, because ancient Greek and Japanese use hard G. English changed it to something else, and we're using the direct loan word, and Ava like the female name. So it's Evangelion. A as in day. A as in when you say the letter A from the alphabet. A better example would be like the word éclair. It's spelled with an E at the beginning, but it's got an accent aigu, so it sounds like éclair. Imagine that the word Evangelion has an accent aigu over the first E, and remember it's pronounced with a hard G instead of a soft G like evangelist. Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Evangelion Unit 1. Eva Unit 2, the mass production Evangelions. Evangelion. Evangelion. I hope this means we can put the debate to rest. As always, I'm pleased to meet you, and I hope you guess my name. What's puzzling you is the nature of my name.